dotted line.
Cyprus is located in the heart of the Eastern Mediterranean, a very important region geostrategically, geopolitically. And at this stage, the major dimension of the Cyprus problem is the fact that Turkey wants to have strategic control over this island.
Andreas is the head of politics and governance at the University of Nicosia. He is also the president of the Cyprus Center for European and International Affairs and the author of The Intercommunicational Negotiations After 1974 and Its Future Prospects about the Cyprus conflict. He joins us today.
Economic-wise, the government-controlled area is doing much better, obviously, than the occupied north. The economy of the occupied north depends basically, its budget more than, almost 40% comes from Turkey. Turkey controls the infrastructure. The currency used in the occupied north is the Turkish lira. The currency used in the government-controlled area is the euro. So, economic-wise, there are several issues. And also, let me share with you the following, that over time, when there were efforts towards negotiations to address the Cyprus question, the authorities, in the occupation regime have always denied access to the IMF and the European Union to control, to monitor banking and other form of activities. And of course, it's an abnormal situation.
So between the Republic of Cyprus and Northern Cyprus is the UK-controlled buffer zone. Why is the UK so invested in the island to keep UK troops there, holding the two sides apart? And how are the UK soldiers there seen by the locals?
I tell you, this is a very complicated issue. I would say the following. The basis, according to the treaties of 1960, with which the Republic of Cyprus was established, the basis are sovereign. At the same time, by the same agreements, Britain has obligations towards Cyprus. As a guarantor power, it has the responsibility to protect the constitutional order and the territorial integrity of the island. It failed to take action in 1974 when Turkey invaded. Britain as a guarantor power watched. It didn't do anything. One of my suggestions in my policy papers in relation to this issue is that I think Cypriot governments should have asked both Greece and Britain to live up to their obligations of the 1960 agreement. This has not been done, openly. I'm sure that these issues were touched, but Cyprus facing the Turkish occupation, Cypriot authorities never wanted to call the spade a spade, in the sense that, it is essential to say that the basis in Cyprus also, Britain uses the basis, it has strategic interest, it has benefits, but at the same time it has obligations that they were not fulfilled to the present day.
With so much influence in the country from the UK and the EU and Turkey, how much control does Cyprus really have over its own foreign policy?
I want to be very specific. It follows a very pragmatic policy. We try to be in line with the principles and the objectives of the European Union as a whole. At the same time, historically, Cyprus had relations with the, United States and Russia and so on, and it tries to balance conflicting interests. It tries to do its best, and I think one of the issues that I would put forward in relation to the foreign policy of Cyprus is that it is characterized by pragmatism and not ideology. Of course, our society is not monolithic. There are some political forces which would say that Cyprus should follow a more pro-Western, more in line with the EU and the United States. There are other political forces which say that certainly, with EU, we are following the principles and the objectives of the European Union, but at the same time, it's important to balance out the interests of the major powers, United States and Russia. I would say that in the last few years that there has been a tilt towards to following closer ties with the United States without abandoning the relations with Russia. And also we must see the region. Cyprus in the last 20, 25 years, it has drastically improved relations with Israel. And at the same time, it tried to maintain relations with moderate Arab states. I mean, we are in the heart of the Eastern Mediterranean and adjacent to the Middle East. So it's a very delicate geographical location where there are regional and international interests, sometimes conflicting, and Cyprus tries to pursue a pragmatic policy, regional and international, and it's trying to be an asset to the region, to the European Union and the international community.
With the current tensions between the Greeks and the Turks at the moment, do you think that conflict is likely to spill over into Cyprus?
It's a very important question. Let me put it this way. The Cyprus question, it has several dimensions. Let me state a few of them. There is a bicommunal dimension, a European dimension, an international dimension, but certainly there is also a Greco-Turkish dimension. Turkish view is that it sees the issue of Cyprus as part of the Greco-Turkish agenda. Greece has been trying for its own purposes since 1974 to dissociate the two. I do not think that this can be completely dissociated, although from a legal perspective, one could say it's a separate issue on its own. In actual fact, Cyprus question, it's part of the broader Greco-Turkish agenda. Consequently, tensions in the Aegean cannot leave Cyprus unaffected, and vice versa.